Hello, good evening, everybody. It's Friday night. Ask me a question night. So, I'll give you guys a couple minutes since that's what you're telling us to do. So, hello, hi. Hello, hi, Bridget. How are you? It's Friday night. Ask me a question night. So, I got 9 questions tonight. So, that's kind of exciting. So, I don't know where to start because some of them are so funny. Hi, Angela. I saw your live. I wanted to join in, but I had to have supper and try to come. So another night, when you have it, just let me know. I'll come for 15 minutes. I love doing it. And we have to help Rosie to gain her confidence. So let's do this. So tonight, I have 9 questions. So I'm going to answer one of them that's kind of easy. And of course, everybody asks me financial questions. I know a lot more than financials, by the way. So how much does a person need in their retirement account to live well? Hi, Yoko. So how much does a person need to have in their retirement account to live well? You know, when I first joined the bank, they told us it was millions of dollars, honestly. And they had a belief that because you traveled so much, or you would be traveling so much, you needed to have a lot more money. And there we had to do the charts and all of that. And then I realized it depends on your lifestyle. Your lifestyle before retirement makes a difference to how you're going to retire. Now, as you know, as you get older, things change. Traveling might not be important for you, whereas it's more important for another. So later on, as I became deeper into planning for wealth, I realized the amount of money you have for retirement is individual to everybody because the choices are different. So last night I touched on it. We have, just as in life, we have 3 stages. In finance, we have 3 stages. As a baby, like my granddaughter, Angela's grandson, they're in the developing stage. You are in that developing stage until you graduate university or college. Then you go to work and you're in the accumulating stage where you start accumulating for wealth and you're aggressive and you're young, you're in your 30s and you're doing things to bring money in up until you're about 55. And then you are in the retaining stage or the legacy stage. You're not as reckless anymore in life, and investment, you're not as reckless either. So you're building a legacy for your children and for yourself. So retirement, if you have your pensions, your 401k, and then your house is paid for, you have your retirement savings plan in Canada. Canada give us another big bonus, a tax-free savings account where you can save $5,500 a year with no tax on any of the money you make. So somebody in their 30s and their 40s, by the time they get to be 60, they do it every year and it goes, because the longer you invest it, the better it is. You'll end up with $500,000-$600,000. So if you have a pension and your expenses are naturally lower when you don't work, because your pension comes in and that tax-free money is never taxed. So you have lots of money. So you need something, I would say, for Canada, at least just below 750, and you'll be comfortable. You'll feel better. You'll be sure. You have no mortgage. You have no big expenses. Or if you have a condo, it's paid for. And you just, maybe $2,000, $3,000 is your expenses, and you get that from your pensions, and the money in your 401k, or your RSP, or your tax-free saving account is for you to spend. You can use it as legacy for your grandchildren, you can retain it for yourself, and you can shop. So there is no number. It's up to the individual expenses and what they want to accumulate. If you want to leave a legacy behind, you must remember you always have somewhere to stay. So your house is not a retirement plan. You have to have stuff outside of the house. If you sold your house and you live somewhere, you still need the money. So your house is always your house. The people who benefit from your house are your children, because when you die, you leave that legacy to them, because you always must have somewhere to stay. So it has to be above and beyond your home where you live. And that's what's important. So then, question number 2. Do you believe formal education is relevant in today's world where people make millions on the internet? Okay? Formal education is your passport into the future. Formal education on a piece of paper opens a door. All it does is open a door. When you get in there, you have to prove who you are or what you're made of. So formal education tells me, it doesn't matter, when you have 102 degrees, it makes no difference. I once had a management trainee young man, and he came to train at the bank, and he said he was management, so we met, we chat. I knew he was coming. He was supposed to be here for a year. And he said to me when we were done, "Where is my office?" And I said to him, "Your office is standing next to Angie, who had been a teller for 25 years. And he was so upset. And he told me I have an MBA. So I said to him, "Your MBA tells me that you're able to learn and you can complete a given task in a given time. That is what formal education tells me. I can teach you something because you can learn. And if I give you something to do and I have a time frame, you can complete it because you went to university, you learned, and you finished it in the 4 years or the 2 years, whatever you had to do." So of course he was upset, but he did calm down, and then I got him, and he became a fantastic human being and did very well after. But you need formal education. You need to learn and write. And I have heard people say, well, math you don't use at all when you go. But it's not what you use, it's how it makes your brain go. When my children were young, I sent them to Kumon because I wanted their brains to fly. I wanted them to be able to click that brain and get things going and understood numbers and words and letters. I just wanted their brain to be active. So that's what it does. Formal education teaches you how to use your brain. It teaches you how to complete stuff. Whether you become an entrepreneur and you have the big business, you still need to know how to use your brain to think, how to use your brain to sort things out. You can hire people to teach you things you cannot do, but your thought process needs to be trained. And how it is trained is through formal education. You have to know to spell cat. You must have a C and an A and a T, because you might say it's K-A-T. So that's what formal education teaches you, how to use your brain and how to think and how to make it work for you. So then how do you coach someone, number 3, who does not take the advice you give them? That is so funny. Because you always come across that. You always come across someone that you're trying to coach and the person is telling you but. Every time you're speaking, they'll tell you but this, but that. And when you come to that point, you also have to watch yourself as a human being, because we've developed that habit. You have to listen before you start to speak. So sometimes it's best to let them just empty themselves. And that's what I do. I let them just empty themselves. You want to tell me, they come to coach maybe often about their life and finance, and I find out it's not money, it's emotions, it's mental, it's their physical, and that's what's bothering them. So one of the things I let them do is let them talk it out. And most often then they're done and they take a, and I say, okay, so now are you ready for me to tell you what we can start with? And if they're not completely empty, they will interrupt you. Or the person is telling you, I know, as you're talking. So you say to them, if you know, show me. If your friends will do it to you, you'll call your friend to talk to them and you start a conversation. And in the middle of the conversation, she aligns it to her needs. So that's what coaching is. You have to listen to them. Let them beat themselves to the ground. I heard Angela say tonight when she was talking that you cannot coach somebody in 15 minutes. No, you can't. You can give them a tip in 15 minutes, but you cannot coach in 15 minutes. Coaching means, it's like molding that person. It's like turning them into a piece of clay and molding them, letting them think differently, letting them sort it out. Is to let them understand the ego has no place in being coached. And the coach hasn't got to have an ego either. They need to be able to just rest. Because that person is like an angry customer. it's no point you try to fight with that angry customer. You have to hear them out. So you listen to them until they have exhausted themselves. So that's how I normally coach somebody. And sometimes all that person needed was for them, somebody to hear them. Nobody has listened to them. I actually was talking to a young man today, and I've known him and he's fabulous. And I said to him, and I coached him for a long time, and I said to him many times, you did not need me. You needed a voice. You needed somebody to listen to you. And I told him that today, and I've been coaching him for years on different aspects of his life. And he laughed. He said, I thought so, because you wouldn't say anything, but you would just look at me like you're taking me in. I said, well, I realized you just wanted to be heard. And maybe that person, that coaching is letting them learn. And then you say, okay, so you came to talk to me about this. Would you like me to tell you what you can change or what you can implement, or I can recommend? So when you say you recommend, sometimes they take it as a nice way of saying, you better do this or else, you know. So I really let them wear themselves out. Then I begin to coach and I ask them again. You have to remember, you have to ask that person what it is you want my help with before they come to see you. They need to know. They need to sort it out. So when somebody comes to see me, like that guy in my book, Controlling the Debt Monster, I sent him home for 2 weeks. I said, don't come back until you have 5 things that you know. You need to know 5 things you want. And that was a form of coaching, how to manage money. But I needed to know, what do you want? Because the carrot, they have to have that carrot. Why are you here? What do you want me to help you with? And that's our job as a coach, knowing what they want. And that is the carrot. Like the man said, give them the pickle. Find out what it is they want and give it to them. So that's how I coach. I usually try to find out, what are you looking for? Do you know? That's why it's better to have them tell you, give me 5 things. What do you want to change? And let them write it down. Because in writing it down, when they read it, they might find out, well, that's not quite how I want to say it. The words they might forget, and unless you have been writing it down yourself when they're speaking, you're going to miss some of it. So ask them to write it down or send you an email with it or a text with it, however you want to do. I say, bring your notebook and write. I get them to write because they need to take the time and sort it out. So have you ever given up on something you started? I don't know how to do that. I have never given up on anything I started. I have studied it. I took a look at it. I walk around it. I shook it. I talked to it. I don't give up very well. I don't know how it is that you stop trying. I don't know how you stop trying. I cannot get it. I don't understand it. I have some things that I ask people questions sometimes, and I ask them, what is your hindrance? What is stopping you? What it is that is preventing you from continuing this? And that is why I look at the movies that I like, Shawshank Redemption. He took a spoon and he started carving out of the walls of his prison cell until he made a hole big enough that he had to put a Marilyn Monroe poster over it so he could get out. So that teaches me you can do it. You might have to go a little piece at a time. So I don't really give up. I find ways I can fix it. I find maybe it needs to be studied. Maybe I need to get mentored on it. I have to maybe ask some questions. I have to change part of it. I have to relocate it. I have to sort it out. I have to find out if, as it's going or in my mind, if that is how I really want it to go. No, so I don't give up. It might take longer, but I might kick it down the road until I figure out how to open it. So, no. And I don't know how to give up. Because if I give up, I'm saying that that thing that has no life, that cannot speak, that cannot move, is beating me, is winning me. No, I don't know how to give up. So I will play with it for years, but at the end I'll have an answer. I'll go get an answer. I'll ask, I'll seek, I'll do anything to get that answer, to fix it. And maybe somebody will tell me, well, maybe you should use this, like trying to put something together. And the man came and he said to me, get me a screwdriver that looks like a flower. I felt so insulted. I said, you mean a Phillips? And he looked at me. I said, oh, Robertson. And he looked at me. I said, my dad was an architect. My brother's an architect. I know, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. Women know tools nowadays. Just so I told it to him. So anyway, no, so I don't give up. I will try and get help and try to fix it. I have another question I want to fool around with because it's interesting. What was the first time you ever had sushi? Can you believe that? The first time I had sushi, I was in Montreal. In Montreal in the late 60s was a paradise. It was the best cosmopolitan city in the world. Montreal was amazing. You could dance on the tables and you had wine and there was a party every day and every night and you could have cafe cheese. It's freezing. You wrapped in a coat and you're outside on a cafe on the streets of Montreal. It was gorgeous. It was a really nice time to be alive in the city. So we had a little Japanese restaurant. We really looked like it was right next to, it was a bagel shop. And that's where I first had it. It didn't seem strange to me. I was fascinated by it. Because it was things we always cooked, but differently, and we had it raw in this case. So I always had tartare, which was the beef raw, and then to turn around and to have tuna, which we grew up with in the Caribbean, and shrimp, which we have both fresh, and we have the river shrimp, the sea shrimp. So I had all of those foods, but they were cooked. So all of a sudden they were on, they weren't, in those days they didn't have them on avocado, that came later. But they had them on rice, they had carrots, they had different things with them. And that I loved because it was finger food. And if you're having a nice white wine, it is so nice. So yes, I must have been about 20 when I had my first one. And I love traveling, so I love foods and I love immersing myself in the culture. So I had that, and then I had sake, and I got accustomed to. It was to have grown up and have your degree or education, and enjoy to have the freedom to navigate a city like Montreal in those days was fabulous. You had people like Miriam Makeba. She was an African singer, tall, beautiful woman, and she sang, and those songs were so sensuous and amazing. So yeah, I had it in Montreal. So, did you have any fear of eating something different? Not at that age, you just jump into it. Furthermore, you are not alone. You might have about 8 or 10 people, your friends with you. And you just, you shared the wine, you shared this, and you cut this, and you ate. You just ate it. It was like, oh, here's a Japanese restaurant. Let's go in and see what they have that's different, that we never had before. So it was like an adventure. To go there. I went to a Chinese restaurant. I had Peking duck. I didn't know what it was, but it was duck. So I had Peking duck, and so you try things, and that's where I had it. No, I just wasn't afraid. I figure if you're having sake with it cannot be that bad. I mean, if it's not going to hurt your stomach at all. It's funny I'm talking about that like that. I went on a family reunion in 2008. A bunch of us and some friends came, and somebody said, no matter what was wrong with you, when you went to Tessa, she said, here, have a scotch. It could be 6 in the morning. I would tell her, oh, it is going to kill any germs you catch. So that was the attitude I had. Have the sake. It cannot be too bad. If you catch something, the sake will kill the germs, and that was how we did it. So no, I enjoyed it. I still enjoy having tasting stuff. When I went to Peru, I had guinea pig. It was okay, but it was a matter of tasting it. Having been in the culture, I went on the islands, where the floating islands, and the women ate the reeds. So I opened one to taste the inside, to see what it was like. They fed from it, they used it as bed, they made their houses out of it, their pillows. So I wanted to see. So they ate it, so I tried a little piece. So yeah, I am adventurous when it comes to traveling. So let's go back to normal stuff now. How do you get your ideas for the morning blessings? Ooh. The thing about me is that you have to remember I am a writer. So I see words, I don't see pictures. When I see a word, I create a picture from the word for you. So you see the picture. I see a word, and any word, or somebody says a phrase, or a word sticks out, and I seem to catch it. And for that reason, when people speak to me, I'm very conscious of what they're saying, because I hear the word. I do fashion too. So when I walk into a fabric store and I look at a piece of fabric, I know immediately what should be done with it. Some people know, get a pattern and then go looking for the fabric. I get a fabric, I see the fabric and I know it should. And my friend is like that. We're both walking and I said, wouldn't that be a swell jacket? And she said, some people have that gift. So with me and words, a simple word, you can, or somebody telling a story and they're talking, I can take that story that they just told you and I can just make it a lot bigger and longer and I would have you in tears. So that's for me, finding my ideas for the morning blessing comes from everyday life. I am not a big TV person. I'm very selective what I watch on TV. And I will watch something and the person will say something and it might they say it this way, I see it the other way. So I see the words and I see how the word can grow. So when I say the word grows, is that I'll take a simple word, I don't know, I'm trying to find a word that I can use to help you. Invisible, let's just use invisible. So they said, this thing was invisible, I didn't see it there. So I will pick up maybe invisible and I'll say, okay. So walking with your eye closed, for example, the entire world is invisible. You won't see the wall that you just stumbled into. You certainly you're going to miss the toilet because everything is invisible. You can't find the tap so you can get water. You picked up a cup thinking it was a saucepan. So I can take it and I can move it into words, and it does not take long. So I see red, you say red. And most people would say, well, it's a red dress. And I would say the sunset was so brilliant. Like the Canadian sunsets are unique. They're so brilliant. The red came in several hues. There was tomato red, for example. And I would say perhaps, and then I saw blood red with a hue of blue. So you see what I'm doing? I create a picture with words. So I am a writer, and words is what I can manipulate. I can twist it and make it into something else for you. And that's how I get my ideas. So it can be a simple word. Somebody can talk about anger. And I will take anger and I'll say it's okay. So let's look at anger. Anger is an amazing word. A-N-G-R, 5 words, 5 letters. But it takes about 20 ounces of blood just to get it out of your system. So if you have your blood, do you want to waste it on anger? Anger, sometimes it takes longer. So I am angry and anger, and it takes energy. So I feel that energy and I'm trying to tell you. So if you change anger to something else and you release that anger, you're calm. Anger is taking too much energy. You're wasting your energy on being angry and it's going wrong. Yeah. So this is how I write. I get 1 word, 2 words, a phrase, and I just go with it. So I hope that you got it. I don't see the picture. I create the picture with words. And then you see the picture. I like that one. What is the right age to retire? What is that? You retire from a job. You don't retire from life. You don't retire from ideas. You don't retire from thoughts. You don't retire from desires. You don't retire from serving. You don't retire from loving. You don't retire from just taking life in. You don't retire. You might retire from something, but a body in motion stays in motion. The brain, if you don't use it, it's going to just frizzle up. It's a muscle. You must train it. You have to control it. So there is no right age to retire, but if you want to leave the job, if you have a job, that is different. You retire from the job, but you cannot get up every morning and sit in a rocking chair and do what? So how do you, I think you retire when you die. And because we don't know what happens after death. None of us do. So that's what happens. But I don't believe you should retire. I have had people that I worked with that retired on Friday and had a heart attack Monday morning because they were so fearful. Their job, their life was their work. And that meant so much to them that the thought of not getting dressed and go there is very, very hard on them. I have a sweetheart of a friend. We never worked in the same branch together. But she, when we worked, that woman, and I can say it bold and clear because she listens sometimes, that woman would phone me every morning about how dissatisfied she was working at the bank and how she couldn't wait to retire. And that went on for years. And then I said to her, I cannot retire. I said, I have one in medical school, the other one over there. I have no intention. I said, the bank is educating my children. I cannot retire. And she wanted to retire. And it happened that I retired before her. And she said to me, you must be so happy. And I said, yes, I am, because I retired at the age from the bank, but I had other plans, other things I wanted to do. So when she finally retired, one day she called me and she said, oh, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. And she was going on and on and on about it. And you know, I'm a Taurus. I have a slight temper. I've learned to curb my temper over the years. But all Taurus, they just go, you push us, and there's a moment we just go zoom. And with age and, you know, you learn. Wisdom, you come. So I lost it that day. So I said to her, look here, when we're working, you wanted to retire. No, you retire. You're calling me to tell me you're going to fill out an application form and go work at Walmart. So I said, knock yourself out. I have to go. So I hung up. She called me back. She said, you hung up on me? I said, listen to me. Right now, those kids of mine bought me some fancy coffee machine and I'm trying to figure it out and I don't have time for you. So if you want to go find a job, go find a job, because there is no pleasing you. When you were working, you wanted to retire, and now you're retired, you want to go back at Walmart and stand, I don't know what you want to do there, but just go. So she was a little angry. And then she called me back and I said to her, you know what? I used to stand at my living room window on a snowy morning and I would look out the window at the snow and know I have to drive my car from the garage, drive in the snow to work. And I would just look at it and I'll just say, it would be nice to just stand and look at the snow falling from the window, but you have to go. And in the summer, in the spring, I'll be coming out through the back garden and I'll look at my gorgeous garden and say, oh, it would be so nice to spend time in the garden. So I said to her, now that I retire, I can cross my arm and stand at the window, make a cup of some exotic coffee from wherever, sip it and smile, because now that is what I'm doing. Or I can, in the summer, I can get up at 6 and go sit in the garden. And that is what I wanted to do. So I said, no, I'm retired, I can do this. When I had to work, I worked. When I had my own business, I had to work 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. I came home late at night, I went early in the morning. And it was good and successful, and when the demographics in the area changed, I changed it. Then I realized, oh, you can work for a bank, so I went to a bank. I went to Judge Brown, I did fashion design. I had choices. So now that I'm retired, I have more choices, and I'm going to do whatever comes my way every day with all the passion that I have in me. Everything I'm putting in it. So retirement is up to you. You really retire from a job, but you don't retire from life. If you try to retire from life, you're going to get beaten up, because your body will just stop moving, and then you will feel it and you will be sick. And somebody once told me, oh, when you retire, you will be so busy with your doctor's appointment. And I went and I said to her, I rebuke this, I rebuke this, I rebuke this. And she said, well, I said, I have no intention of having doctor's appointments. I said, that's not what, I said, no, I go once a year because nothing is wrong with me. So I do everything I can to be healthy. I drink a lot of water, I watch what I eat, and I enjoy what I eat. And I walk every day, or I run around this house every day, or if I cannot go outside, then I run around this huge room 3 minutes at a time. I do deep breathing. But the retirement, if you retire from life, you're going to die. So there is no way to retire. You should just keep going until something stops you. And if you have to go, then you go. So that's it for tonight, though. So I hope you enjoyed all of my crazy things that I talked about. Angela, thank you. Patrick, Yoko, thank you guys for joining. Angela, create opportunities for your money to make you money. Of course, that's what you can do. That's all you can do. There is no such... When you retire, you cannot sit around. It's not going to help you. So good night, everyone. And I hope everybody got the answers for their questions. Have fun. Bye, Yoko. Bye, Patrick. Talk to you guys. Bye, Angela Rose. Take care. Bye.